Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the whole elect. The names that you just heard me say, they're the true names of the Heavenly Father and Son in the ancient Hebrew. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem means in the name, and who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai. That's how you say and pronounce the name of the Heavenly Father and Son in the ancient Hebrew. Ruach Kodash, which is the Holy Spirit given on high from the Heavenly Father through His Son, for us to have the proper understanding of the Scriptures in these times. And I just want to go through this lesson. I'm sorry, not lesson, but through this video here. I may go through essentially everything here because it's just, as you're going to see, the first individual explain or essentially say the same thing that I say, how you can't listen to government officials on the state of the American people, which sometime last week, President Donald Trump said how he doesn't care about the financial situation of Americans. All he's concerned about is Iran not getting any nuclear power, right? So he doesn't care. But, you know, in times prior, he said that how, I believe it was at the State of the Union, how, oh, you know, Americans are winning so much, but yet now you don't care that they're winning. Now you don't care about their financial situation. So what is it? I thought that we were doing good, but then now you don't care about that financial situation. So you see, like I say, that's why you can't listen to government officials on the situation happening here in America. You have to listen to the American people who are going through these things. And this first person that you're going to see here in this video is going to illustrate my point. Also, fair use. I'm also going to put it in the description box. So just want to get right into this, and the Lord's willing, to be edifying and bring out some precepts.
You know what? They keep saying that we're in the age of disclosure, and I think that they're right. But I think we also need to start disclosing something else, like on a personal level. Like, I think more people, especially Americans, need to start disclosing how much they are struggling financially. Like, I made a video yesterday talking about how this is my first job that I've been able to land since November of last year. I'm not full-time. That job is not full-time. It is $19 an hour. It is 32 hours a week. My lease renewal, I've got my third notification about my lease renewal. I cannot afford to renew this lease, and I also can't afford to move, because if you move, what do you got to do? Deposit, admin fee, application fee, paying for the moving truck, taking time off of work, all this extra stuff that you have to pay for. I cannot afford to do either one. And a lot of people are in this position right now. A lot of people cannot find a job. And it's not because there's just a natural scarcity when it comes to job. It is a manufactured scarcity. They're not hiring anyone. They're cutting 90% of their workforce and getting the remaining 10% to do the work of the other 90%. While not increasing their pay. The cost of everything is going up, but everybody keeps reporting record profits. Nobody can afford to pay their workers a livable wage, but everybody has record profits. But you know who does get paid? The shareholders, who do absolutely nothing for the company. This is the state of the economy right now. Like, this is a reality. This is real. And this is where we all are. It's a lot more people that are just too embarrassed to say. You should never be embarrassed about what this system has done to you.
Tired of pebble poops, gas, and bloating? This is DS-01 Daily Symbiotic, a 2-in-1 probiotic.
Be embarrassed about what this system has done to you.
Ever since
Right, so you see there, like I was saying earlier, how Americans, essentially, nobody should be embarrassed to let it be known what the system has done unto you, right? So essentially, he's putting the battery, so to speak, in people's back that, hey, let it be known what's happening. Let your experiences be known, because like he was saying, this was his first job in like a couple of months, right? I believe sometime last year, November, if I'm not mistaken, that he said. So he's been on the hunt for a job, and he's not even getting a full 40 hours. He's only getting 32. So he's just missing, another 8 hours, but he's only getting 32 hours. And essentially, he's like, yo, like, if he wanted to, do something, he's in a financial bind, because if you want to like maybe move or something, well, you got to take time off work, which he can't really do that. Then you got to get the moving company, the trucks, all this type of stuff that takes away. So, you see he's in a financial bind, he's in a situation. And, he's pretty much, like I said, putting the battery in other people's back to, hey, let it be known what's happening to you. Let your experiences be known like he did. And like I said, if you want to know the state of the American people, you have to talk to the American people, right? Like this guy said, let your experience, essentially what he's saying is let your experiences be known. If you want to know what's happening here in America, talk to the American people and they'll let you know the state of the country, not the government officials, because they'll always be used to quell, to calm down, to make things seem like it's not what it is. But as you can see, which I frequent this woman's channel, she does it all the time. She has, if you look right here real quick, this is, not shorts, videos. Fast food is collapsing. Everyone's preparing. Walmart shocks America. America's breaking point, which is what we're watching right now. Groceries went up again. But if you listen to some of the people out there, you won't hear these things. If you listen to government officials, they'll only make it sound somewhat bad, but they'll always put that hope out there that could get better. But if you listen to people, it's not getting any better. All right. Before let's continue. But I'm gonna skip.
You should never be embarrassed.
Future for people in America. About that. In fact, it's almost a new trend to actually share how you really are feeling, how you really are struggling, especially here in America. Hey, what's up, America? I'm going to be real with you here because I see no future for people in America. After seeing the high cost of homes nationwide, the high cost of gas, the high cost of food, the high cost of rent, cars, rental cars, used cars, insurance, healthcare, taxes, and every other thing, how is anybody in this country supposed to prosper that's not already wealthy? Can someone tell me that? The pulling yourself up by your bootstraps argument is and over. It doesn't work now. You have average home prices of $512,000. Grocery prices are almost 100% more since 4 years ago. Same with rent, same with mortgages, same with used cars, same with new cars. Taxes are slightly lower, and I do mean slightly. Wages are slightly up, but no way in hell will that meet the requirements. I just saw a story about a nurse with a $75,000 salary a year and an 808 credit score denied for getting a home. Zero student loan debt too. So debtless, making 75 grand a year with an over 800 credit score, not good enough for a house. So what are we doing here? What's the end goal? Starvation? Death? What's going on here? No matter what you do, no matter how you spend the finances, the middle class and the poor have no upward mobility. There is no hope now. None. No hope. None. Zero. The next 2 or 3 generations are because you allowed so much greed. Younger generations will...
And you're going to hear that theme, greed, essentially, right? The American greed, dealing with these shareholders, right? He's not the only person that's going to speak on the greed of America.
Never have shit because of your greed. I've already broken my back trying to make ends meet working for the last 30 years. I already know I'm not going to get anything from the rich. I don't give a But the younger generations, if you keep stealing and being greedy, they're going to all be homeless. And then what do you have? Ruling over a bunch of homeless people? You.
And what you're essentially saying, oh yeah, this one was entertaining as well. What you're seeing is the great American crash out. Americans are crashing out. And what you're seeing is essentially here in Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the seas and the waves roaring. And we're going to focus on the word perplexity. And the definition says to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, right? To be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not know which way to turn. So what you're seeing out of the American people is a lot of lamentation, complaining, right? But what did it say here? To be left wanting, to be in doubt, not know which way to turn. So usually when people complain, right, it's human nature to complain, but then also after you get that complaint out, you would start devising a plan of, okay, I'm in a bind, I'm in a predicament. okay, how do I get out of this situation? Or how do I, at least alleviate the pain or stress that I'm in? But all you're hearing is, yo, we don't know what to do. Things are bad. Things are bad. We don't know what to do. How am I supposed to get out of this? What's going on? You're just hearing complaints and complaints and complaints. And the American people don't have what? A way to turn. They don't have an answer. They don't know what to do in these times. And you're seeing Luke chapter 21 and verse 25 play out. Like we've always told you, right? 2 Ezra 15, speak down the ears of my people the words of prophecy, for they are faithful and true, roughly paraphrasing. All these things that the Hebrew Israelites have told you have come to pass. It's no more, let me not say it like that, but very soon, more and more, you're going to see it's no longer get like Luke 21 and 25. I don't have to get it. You're seeing it play out play out before your eyes. You're seeing the perplexity. You're seeing the people be embarrassed, not knowing what to do, to be without resources. Which resources, or one resource, is money. As the scriptures say, money is a defense. Money answers things. Money is a defense. You see, if they were making enough money, they would be able to answer some of these problems. It would be able to take care of these problems, so that way they wouldn't be as stressed out. But not having a lot of money, and like the so-called Black American, the Israelite was given at the beginning, the first guy, he was saying what? That they're, cutting down the workforce to only about 10% and letting them do the bulk of the work, but not increasing their pay for doing all that work. So here it is, you've been brought down to only 10% of the workforce, but you're doing 90% of the work, right? Or 100% of the work, which if you had, higher numbers there, a higher workforce number there, but in doing all this extra work, your pay is not being increased. It's kind of like how I kind of understand how that is. It's kind of like how I've been working security for most of my life. And with security, you're only supposed to do, which is essentially, deter and report and deter things. But some of these places, when they work there, they be wanting to do a whole bunch of extra stuff that you're really not supposed to do. But they won't give you that additional pay. I remember when I was working my first security job years ago around Coney Island. And I remember, I was security, but at the same time I was also doing the switchboard and things like that. I remember a guy, it was a guy that looked like an Edomite, came up to me and said that, hey, you're supposed to be getting extra pay for that, right? Like, you're doing the switchboard, but you're also security, because he knew. And it was like, he told me that. When he told me that, I did take his words to heart, but I already knew that it's like, they just gonna just have me here just doing this. But they will have you do extra work that you're not supposed to do, or that they should be paying you for, but they won't pay you for it, because they'll try to get that extra, okay, well, we have him here doing security, but we'll also, I apologize for the noise. They're working on a building right next to me, so I pray and hope that you can still hear me clearly. But okay, we see that he's working security, but also we won't pay him, or we won't let him know, so we'll also have him do the phones as well, so that way we can get the best of both worlds, and we don't have to pay him. But I'm going according to the information that the guy told me back then. I don't know if maybe it's changed or what, but that is something that I've experienced while working security, that they will do. They'll ask you to do things that you're really not supposed to do. And of course, people will sit there and say, well, you can sit there and say no, which is correct. But then if you do that, you're also making your job, your life a little bit harder, because these people are over you. And what they'll tend to do is maybe not give you so much hours, maybe not call you, or you may eventually lose your job. And they may not say the reason as to why. But going back to the point here in Luke 21 and 25, that's essentially what you're seeing. And what you're seeing with these people is that they're crashing out, right? They're losing their minds. They're embarrassed. They don't know what to do, right? They're not making enough money. They're not making enough resources, which is the money, to deal with things. Because again, if they had the money to deal with some of these problems that come up, it would alleviate the pain, but it's not.
Trigger warning, I'm going to crash out right now, and this is going to be a long video, but I feel like you can relate to this, so here we go. It's great living in America, unless you're a fucking American. If you're a bank, though, you are thriving, while the rest of us are just trying to survive. I just came across a video saying that banks are at an all-time high. Like their expectations have blown through the roof of what their profit margins were going to be. You want to know why? They are thriving because America is starving to live. At least 95% of Americans right now are literally surviving off credit cards, off loans in general. And banks are eating that shit up over the high interest rates. We're fighting for our lives over here. You want to know what the American dream is like? Let me tell you. Every day I wake up hoping today is the last day on earth. I'm tired of it here. The American household, on average, is $80,000 in debt. And that's just credit cards and like auto loans. Maybe even some student loans thrown in there. But that's not even including your mortgage. That's just credit card debt. And right now, banks are eating that interest rate up while we're all surviving. You mean to tell me that the average American goes to their mind-sucking job, works 8 to 12 hours to have everything deducted, have nothing left to live on, and we're forced to put food on the table by using credit cards?
The Santos, a dress watch with zero apologies. They told us dress watches must be Swiss, must be thin.
Credit cards. Okay. Picture this, right? You go to college. You get yourself in hundreds of thousands of student loan debt. You are one of the 5% of college graduates to get your job in the field you got your degree in, right? You get everything garnished from your wages because the increase on living and everything around you has gone up, but your pay has stayed the same. But then you also get taxes taken out. We get taxed just to breathe, people. We get taxed on owning shit. We get taxed on working. We get taxed on just living. Okay? Then you got health insurance. That's a joke and a whole video within itself. But basically, the average American pays anywhere between $300 and $1,000 a month for health insurance. Basically, you're paying just to say, I have health insurance. But then when you go to use health insurance, you have co-pays and deductibles, and they don't cover nothing until you've met your deductible. What do you mean? Why am I paying you $1,000 a month to have health insurance when I'm still paying more just to use it? I digress. Then you have everything like retirement, 401 taken out. Okay, great. You're going to work 30 to 40 years of your prime so that when you get to retirement age, we're going to give you monthly stipends back just so you can afford to live without a job. Meanwhile, like 80% of senior citizens that are retired now are working at Lowe's at the age of 87 because they can't survive just on their retirement. That's just a prime example. We're all struggling to keep our heads above water because we don't earn enough money. After everything gets taken out, we are now forced to pay super high interest rates on everything we own. Even stuff that's paid off, we're still paying interest on. How does that make any sense? But you're sitting there, the American family, the average American family is no longer middle class. You're either poor or rich. The rich is making money off the poor because the poor can't afford to have two jobs, full-time jobs, and still be able to take care of their families and have enough money at the end of the day to put food on the table. Hence why we are forced to live on credit card debt. And y'all are just going to keep jacking up the prices that we're never going to be able to afford to pay off. Because unfortunately, Dave Ramsey, the average American person has nothing left after their paychecks come in and they pay their bills and they buy groceries. They have nothing left to save. So you're sitting there with $20 to your name for 2 weeks until the next payday. And that's if you're lucky. There's some people that are in the red right now. They are working their asses off and they can't even pay all their bills on time. And they're trying to decide, do you want to keep the light on this month or the water? No, living is just a luxury. I can't afford to put braces on my kids right now. That's a luxury. Going out to eat, that's a luxury.
I don't know if this is happening to anybody else in America.
Yeah. So I'm just letting it run and just letting you hear for yourself because specifically speaking to our people, you'll see some of our people, pop up on this video like the gentleman that was there at the beginning. But especially you're hearing amongst the Black American women about, they'll say things like, they'll have a rhetoric or a saying like, if a man is complaining about paying bills, then he's not a man or he's not a person that I want to deal with. And things like that. And it's like these Black American women are so, just using the word delusional, for lack of a better word, they're so delusional in the times that we're in that you just have to finance their lifestyle. You just have to finance essentially their delusion to where it's like, look, just pay for these things because they still want to uphold that image. They still want to go out there and protrude that image of, whining and dining and things like that. But it's like, look, we're not in the time. Maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, fine. But 2026 right now is not the year all the times to be whining and dining just to, put up an Instagram post or a Snapchat or whatever on social media to make it look like you're living this luxurious lifestyle when nobody is living a luxurious lifestyle. You want a man to come in and pay for your bills and pay your expenses, but here it is, you can't even pay for your expenses. But I thought a lot of you women were boss women. Pay for your own stuff. That shows you that, this is why me personally, I don't like giving excuses, because it shows you that Eve has a mind up there and she's not as stupid and not as ignorant and not as silly as you may think. Because for some of these women to come out there and sit at, meaning that what? They're thinking the cogs is moving up there, right? The gears is turning where they're thinking, yo, I can't pay for this by myself. But I'm not going to come out and humble down. No, I'm just going to come out and start having rhetoric and sayings and stuff like, oh, well, if a man can't pay my expenses, if a man can't pay my bills, this and that, he's not a man, or he's not a man that I want to deal with. Essentially covering up that, hey, I can't pay my own bills. I don't have maybe the discipline to, save and things like that, how to allocate my money better and things like that. So I want to use your money. You come in and you pay and you do all this stuff for me and still wine and dine. So you pay, the electric bill, the mortgage, you pay all these things, and on top of that, still got to wine and dine and take me out to these places. Basically, you're like a pappy show. Like, yo, just do, you're just resources to her. But again, if you listen to these people, that's why I'm not really saying much. I'm just letting you take it in. This is what, like she even mentioned herself, the average American person is dealing with. And some of you women out there, although you may try to show yourself on social media as being higher class, you're the average as well, if not becoming the average. And it's even showing that when you say these things, it shows that what? You don't have the capability to keep up this lifestyle that you want. So what makes you think that some men could keep up this lifestyle, keep up this delusion that you want? But that's what it is. It's a delusion. And a lot of men, we're in the time now where a lot of men are not falling for that trap anymore. A lot of men are not just simply listening to what women have to say. Either they have their podcast where they're, putting men on game and letting it be known what's going on, or some men have just clocked out completely and say, you know what? You could say all that type of stuff. You could say I'm a bum. Someone will even insult you and say that you're gay, you're this or that. Oh, he's not a strong man. Some men just are not dealing with it. Some men have just gotten to the quote unquote breaking point where it's like, look, say what you want to say about me. You could say I'm gay. You could say I'm a weak man. You could say all these things about me, all these insults. It's not happening. It's not going down. And the reason why it's got to this point is because of you black women, black American women's behavior. There are men that do love you women out there. There are men that want to take care of you. But because of your behavior, because of the rhetoric, because of the poison that you have taken in, the American poison, you essentially, really, it's you, right? This is why I don't like that whole excuses thing, although I do understand. But you, black American women, have pushed away your men. Because it's the words and the actions and the vibration that you have pushed out there that have pushed your men away from you. And now in a time when you're going to need them the most, they're not going to be there for you because you pushed them away. Because your mouth, your attitude, your rhetoric has pushed them away. Not only, even if they're not dealing with you here on American soil, but they've even moved to Thailand, DR, all these places to get the fuck away from you. So now when things get bad here in America, who are you going to call? Because most of them are off seas. Tyrone ain't going to be able to be there for you. And some of these men are just not going to be there for you because they have clocked out. So you can say your rhetoric because some of these men don't care because they're all cross seas. Some of these men have podcasts and they're like, look, don't fall for that. And some of these men have just clocked out completely and said, to hell with it. I don't care. Say what you want to say. I am not doing it. So now what are you going to do? What are you going to say? Because this is the predicament that we're here in America. The great American crash out. You're not able to pay for things. You're not able to finance yourself. Because you in your deluded mind have only thought about this BS of just being wined and dined and putting on a perception for people that really don't even care about you. All it is on social media is a bunch of people putting up pictures to show people about how they're living and how they're so, hey, look at me and my great life, to people that don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your little family. Nobody cares that you have your husband. Nobody gives a damn. But it's all to keep up that delusional perception. But let's continue. I'll just wind it back a little bit.
And they're trying to decide, do you want to keep the light on this month or the water? No, living is just a luxury. I can't afford to put braces on my kids right now. That's a luxury. Going out to eat, that's a luxury.
I don't know if this is happening to anybody else in America, but it's getting pretty annoying with me. So I had a phone plan that I started about a year and a half ago. It was about $115 a month. A little overpriced for a single line, but sure. I was willing to pay it. Come a year and a half later, they're trying to charge me $167 a month for the rest of the contract. They don't specify why. They just, it's extra service fees. I'm sorry. $47 more in service fees a month I have to pay? That makes no. And then I literally go to my auto insurance, which was quoted to me when I first started the policy, which was a 6-month policy, at $311. $311. It's way overpriced, but I drive an Audi, so what the ever. I guess I'll pay the $300 a month for insurance. Then I go back to my policy, and they're telling me I owe $374 a month for the remaining 3 months. Extra accrued service fees. My storage unit used to be $97 a month for my stuff. It is now $145. They raised the price on the contract and on the agreement that I made with the company. This is the same with the insurance company. This is the same with the phone plan company that I'm putting this video on. When are we going to get sick and tired of corporate America taking our money? I'm getting real sick and tired of this. This isn't even like a political view on left or right side or anything like that. I'm sick of America stealing from its citizens. I'm sick of corporate billion-dollar conglomerate oligarchies that continue to throw little fees and fines on us like we owe it, like we have to force ourselves to pay because they contractually keep us in a contract. It's getting old. How did my bills go up over $400 in the past month from accrued fees? They can't even specify why those fees were raised. We need to hold these people accountable. These CEOs, CFOs, these owners of these corporate businesses, billion-dollar wallets packed. All these rich, horrible people where it's like, well, they earned it fair and square. Yeah, by people over and ripping people off. Accrued fees, fines, and until their pockets are so lined, they don't even know what to do with their money, while the rest of us sit here and struggle and feed off of breadcrumbs on the ground, going, it's the government, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's everything else but exactly what corporate America is standing for right now. They don't give a about us citizens. They only give a about their company, and they just want to sit there money hungry, just shoveling their face full of our money.
It's the easiest way to upgrade your style without changing your entire wardrobe and without spending the time. This is Jackson's best.
And they just want to sit there money hungry, just shoveling their face full of our money.
So I'm being a...
Right. So you heard him mention the oligarchies, which is the rule of the few. So people know that, hey, about the top banking families, who is the cause and the root of all these problems. But you know somebody is crashing out, and you know that a person is really getting into something when they start getting animated and you start seeing the head bobbing and things like that. But you hear him talk about essentially along the same lines of what? The greed and things like that, right? Which, let's get some precepts. Right. This is James chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure to yourselves for the last days." Right? Which especially during the 2020, during the early pandemic days, dealing with that whole situation with the sea, a lot of information came out that a lot of these billionaires were getting a lot of money and heaping riches unto themselves, like it says, right, for the last days. Verse 4, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. Right? So the hire of the laborers, who are the hire of their laborers? You're seeing them, the American people, who have reaped down your fields, who have been working for you, right? Right? Your fields essentially would be your corporations, and what? They have been working for you, which is of you kept back by fraud, because that's what this individual is speaking about. And the other individual, I want to say he was a second individual of the video, was speaking about what? The greed, the fraud, right? Crieth. You're seeing the crying happen right now. The lamentation of the people. They're speaking about, yo, the prices, everything is raising, but I'm just working more and more, or maybe not even getting hours. And it's like, yo, what am I supposed to do? The cost of living is going up, but I may be working more, but I'm not seeing an increase in pay, or I'm not even getting enough money to work. So you're hearing the people, the hire of the laborers, crying, right? And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, which is the Lord of armies. Now let's go into Sirach, because Sirach speaks about that. Excuse me. This is Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 4 and verse 1. My son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long. Make not an hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress. Add not more trouble to an heart that is vexed, and defer not to give to him that is in need. Right? And you're hearing the hearts of the minds of the people being vexed, because they know that they're being scammed. Right? Scammed. They know that they're not getting, because it's obvious, everybody can see, like, yo, the cost of living is going higher, but yo, we're not getting enough pay to deal with this. Okay, fine, maybe I have to take on more responsibility, maybe I have to do more, but at least, maybe, at least, hey, if I have to take on more responsibility of the job, at least more money comes with that. But I'm having more responsibility of the job and not getting increased pay. So I'm doing more than what's required, or at least on paper, what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not seeing an increase in pay. So what the hell is up with that? Verse 4, reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from a poor man. Turn not away thine eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse thee. And essentially, that's how some of these people are essentially doing. They may not be saying, pardon my language, fuck you, but what? Some of them were saying, I'm tired of America. They're tired of this place. They're tired of how this place is ran. They're sick and tired of it. One of them saying what? The guy with the glass said, I'm sick and tired of America. So you're hearing the lamentation, the crying, the cursing of the people. Verse 6, for if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. So again, like it said in James, and their cries have entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. So how much more, especially for the Lord's elect, that the Lord hears the cries, like, yo, Lord, damn, I got to work 2 jobs. I got to do this. And it's like, yo, I'm not able to, now the Lord will definitely make a way. But still, the Lord still hears the lamentation, the cries of the elect. So the Lord is hearing all of this. And like he mentioned, the oligarchy, which is what? The rule of the few, are the reason of this. Because going back to the first individual at the video, the Jake, what did he say? This is manufactured, meaning that this is on purpose. This isn't just something that randomly happened. This is manufactured, meaning that this is their doing. Whose doing is this? The top banker families, the elites, the oligarchies, if you will. And people know that. I might listen to this last woman here and then end the video. I believe it's Deuteronomy 24. Right? Because all this, you're not supposed to do this. Right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse 14. Thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. At his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry unto the Lord, and it be sin unto thee. So you're supposed to get days' wages, not you work a week and then at the last day, you get, whether let's just say Friday, that's when we give you your pay. No, you worked today. Today is Monday. You work at 8 to 4. You're supposed to get your money at the end of the day. That's how it's supposed to go according to scriptures. That's how it was in ancient biblical times. Now, people are going to sit there and say, well, that was ancient times. But you having to wait a week, something could happen within that week, and you don't have access to that money. So now what are you supposed to do? You got to think about it. So this is why the Lord set up to where it's, look, you work, let's just say today, Monday, you're supposed to get your pay at the end of that. So that way, what? You can go home, you have expenses to travel, you can go home and buy something to eat, and then whatever else is left over, fine. But you work today, you're supposed to get paid today. Not, okay, you worked, and look, we're going to tally that up, so at the end of the week, you get all this money, so that way they could tax more out of you. Because, I don't have the best job situation right now, but I've realized there's been some times where I've worked for one day, and you don't get taxed as much if you work one day. So think about that. If they were to tax you and you just worked that one day, they don't take a lot out of you. But if you work a full 40-hour schedule and you work those 5 days, or maybe even more, if you do time and a half, they're able to tax more out of you and take more out of your check. This is one of the reasons why they do these things. You see? So all this is sin unto America, because all these cries are being heard into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, especially when it comes to his elect. The Lord sees and hears all this type of stuff, right? And that's why there's going to be a visitation, right? Wisdom of Solomon, the 6th chapter, verse 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand. Learn ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest. So you see, the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, right? Which is the top bank families, the elites. Esau, Edom, the earth has been given into their hand. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? How you've been managing, the earth. Verse 4, because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of the Heavenly Father. You didn't follow the instruction manual. You didn't follow the book. Verse 5, horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places, the oligarchies, the top banking families, because it starts at the top, right? Sirach, the 10th chapter, talks about as a ruler is, so would be the people. So if the ruler is wicked, so are his officers. And then what? That would be trickled down to the people. You see? So the reason why, going back to the first individual in the video, he said what? That this is manufactured. Starts at the top. They want these things to be like this way because they have an agenda to put a device the size of a grain of rice that's written of in Revelation 13 and 16, so that way they can have complete control over people.
Evicted from my apartment. Yeah, let's talk about it. So I live in a part of Florida. I mean, Florida itself is disgusting, but I live in one of the worst parts of Florida. And there's nothing here. And for the past year, I have financially struggled to the point of mental insanity. I have been stealing my groceries.
So I'm gonna let it play, but you're gonna hear all her stuff. So this is what people are resorting to, and like she said, to mental insanity. Now, don't take that as a joke just because she's smiling with a face. A lot of people out there's a lot of insane people. It's just because society is normal, you don't see it. But as you're seeing, the cracks starting to come through, you're starting to see their insanity. You're starting to see the craziness of these people that, as society breaks, they're also breaking as well. So all those demons that were being held back because, society was normal, you're going to start to see those demons in them start to come through the cracks because society is also breaking. So when people say things like that, say things like this, you have to take that to heart. You can't take that lightly when she says that her mental instability is breaking, right? And then now she's stealing. So that means the spirit of theft was always in her. It's just what? Maybe, because again, I don't know this woman personally, obviously, but maybe she did steal a couple of times. But what? That spirit, that demon was in there. But now as society is breaking, that demon has now crept up. It's coming through the cracks. So now she's saying, hey, I've been stealing.
I have been basically stealing anything I can just so I can survive. I'm like a little squirrel. And the stress from the financial instability has made my bipolar symptoms come back up. Oh no. So now they want me to...
See, so like I was saying, all that, oh no, all that, that's just to mask the demon that is there. The demon is slowly creeping through the cracks.
Medication. I didn't need to take medication for 4 years, but now I need medication. So I'm getting in my car. I'm driving to my mom, and we're gonna live out of our cars. We're gonna camp. We're gonna save as much money as we can. We're gonna get vans. I'm done living in this system. I will forage for my own food if I have to. I'll kill an animal if I have to.
And that right there, she said, she'll do whatever. So if she's willing to do that now and things haven't been that bad, like I said, you can see the demons slowly coming out. So imagine how much more for other people. Cannibalism, the scriptures tell you about. Killing and robbing, right? She says she's been robbing. So things haven't gotten that bad, but she's willing to steal and rob. So how much more eventually, like the scriptures say, when it talks about a man that shall not have pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy his house for lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? Which I have that as well, but I have that in the GNT. Hopefully it doesn't go. So this is 2 Ezra 15 and 19. Driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. See? Because of famine, which is a lack of food. Because of terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors, mercilessly plunder their possessions, take what they have for themselves. So you're seeing it in little increments here by people where it's not as bad in society. How much more when it gets to that height? How much more when it gets to being really that bad? That you're going to see, like it says, the mercilessness.
Food if I have to. I'll kill an animal if I have to. I'm done.
Now just replace that with person. I'll kill her if I have to. Right? That's where her mindset is going. Them demons are seeping out. And not just in her, but other people as well.
And being part of this rat race. This society is not normal. This isn't normal. Okay?
So, I don't normally ever come on here and post anything except of my dog because he's absolutely gorgeous. But I am extremely frustrated being a full-time employed person living in Florida and not being able to afford to live. I have spent my whole day off trying to find a, more affordable place to live because I can't afford $1,300 a month in rent and then a $650 car note and then $300 in insurance and then you got utilities and it's either I.
Now, did you hear the change in her voice, how she sounded very soft and things like that? But then as she started to go through her lamentation, her complaints, her cries, you hear the change in her voice?
Eat or I pay my bills. And then even then, it's like, okay, well, which bill's going to be late this month? And I'm so sick of it. Like all these apartment complexes and realtors and even private renters, so hard. And I mean that with everything in me. I nor anybody else should be working 60 plus hours a week and not be able to live. I'm about to crash the out. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me losing my mind. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm about to lose my shit because I just can't take it.
Most people think it's just belly fat until their liver shuts down and they die in silence. The most noticeable symptom.
Oh, but I'm about to lose my shit because.
So you heard her, right? Again, crash out. And you're seeing essentially Americans crashing out. You're seeing, like she said, I'm about to lose it. So again, how much more as society continues to crack and crumble, do these people crack and crumble as well and lose their shit more and more and more? And again, you're seeing the lamentation, the cry of people that the hire of the laborers who have reaped down their fields, right? And which is you, corporations have been kept back by fraud, right? They're not able to have an honest living, to be able to take care of themselves, right? And I'm not going to play the rest of the video. You can watch the rest of it for yourself. I'll even show you the title of it there. Americans are exhausted, broke, and done pretending this is normal. And as you can see, the channel right there is a homestead, I want to say journey? Yeah, a homestead journey clips, as she has it, right? But you're seeing out of people, they're tired. They don't know what to do because you're hearing, again, like I mentioned at the beginning, usually when you have a problem, yes, you complain about your problem, but then you start thinking about a solution. You're not hearing them come up with any solutions. You're just hearing complaint after complaint after complaint and no solution. And that's Luke 21 and 25. To be embarrassed, to be left wanting, to not know which way to turn, which is essentially, where do I go for a solution? What's my alternative to this? There is no alternative, but just suffering, just having to deal with it and feeling powerless and helpless to not be able to change your situation. That's how Americans are feeling. And that is the reality of it. And especially for women, because you see a lot of women are the ones complaining in these videos. But here it is, you have the Black American woman, and you will have some Black American women in these videos that she posts, but you have Black American women doing what? Gotta wine and dine me, living in that delusion. Don't worry, baby girl. Eventually, it will catch up to you. There's only but so much delusion that you can swim in. Eventually, don't worry. Time's going to catch up to you too. And oh boy, is it going to be glorious. But I'll end the video here. I pray and hope this video has been edifying. In ending, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all for elect. Shalom.